Put down that camera and strap in. It's time for a new episode of TogChat Live. Get ready for 60 minutes of wall-to-wall photography, including photo news, tips, and your photography questions in real time, with answers from your host, Olympus visionary Joe Edelman.
Hey gang, that's me. Thanks for joining me for another live episode of TogChat. I'm your host, Joe Edelman, and my mission, as always, is to help photographers like you develop a solid understanding of the hows and whys behind great photographs. So before we get going, and we have a lot to deal with tonight, I need all of you to please take a moment, tell your photography friends that we are streaming live on YouTube right now. You know the drill. Twitter, Facebook, they are the fastest way to get the word out. You can click the share button under the video, or you can share the link tog.chat/live, which I'm putting right there in the chat window for you. And of course, we've got a lot of photographers tuning in tonight. I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty heavy-duty conversation. I know there's a lot of people have been talking about this already. There's a lot of stuff that people want to discuss, but I like to know where you're all coming from. So check in, say hi, let me know you're here, let me know where you're from. I see I've got John from Boulder, Colorado. I got Sam from Longmont, Colorado. It's a big Colorado night. I got Timber Geek in Warren, Connecticut. I got Ricardo in Ireland. I've got Las Vegas here. I've got North Carolina here, Germany, Maryland. We've got a ton of people here tonight. Even got Lynn in New York. So, of course, thank you guys for tuning in and spending part of your Wednesday evening with me. And keep posting those questions. We got a few questions in here already, which is great. I promise you we'll still have plenty of time to answer questions. You know that I will always do my best to answer as many as I can. All right, so the topic tonight, there it is. I am so disappointed. So what's this all about? There have been a lot of people guessing. I really wasn't kind of trying to play a guessing game online, honest, and apparently that's what it turned into. But first and foremost, a bunch of you have asked, what's up with Olympus, right? Now, let's be straight. I am privy to just about as many facts as you are, no more, no less, seriously. But I do have an official statement that I received this afternoon from Olympus that I will read to you after the main part of my discussion. So hopefully that will help some of you. But honestly, I don't think that's where the discussion is actually important. So my title, my topic, I am so disappointed in a few things. First off and foremost, I am disappointed with the companies that make our cameras. Not just my brand, Olympus, all of them. Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fuji, Panasonic, all of them. Secondly, and bear with me on this, please, I'm disappointed that our First Amendment right to free speech, it's being assaulted every day. Not by any government. Come on, gang. Even our president's assault on the national media is not the cause of the issue. The cause of the issue, it's a lack of respect for the freedom that is provided by the First Amendment. And on top of that, a lack of respect for others that is prevalent among so many internet users, especially in our industry. Let me be more specific. I am disappointed in photography YouTubers who make videos about gear. I am disappointed in photography blogs for publishing stories that they acknowledge are based on rumors. Stories that can have a dramatic impact on the profitability of any company. I'm disappointed in mainstream financial news outlets who publish reporting and headlines that can have a serious impact on a company's stock value. And you guys, I'm disappointed in the so-called photographers who have nothing better to do than spend their time watching and reading these opinion-based media and then debating the future of camera companies on the internet. Instead of investing that time and that energy into actually being a good photographer. Look, I'm sorry, but it is the lack of respect for good old-fashioned fact-checking that is assaulting our First Amendment. It is the fact that news today, it's opinions and agendas masquerading as facts. Now look, this is not just a problem in the mainstream media. Come on, this is a problem in our photography industry as well. So please, follow along. Allow me to walk you through some facts, as well as a few opinions, and I will make it a point to label them as such. I started by stating to you that I'm disappointed with all the companies that make our cameras. So I guess I should call this an opinion, but allow me to explain why. Lately, we keep hearing that Olympus isn't making any money selling cameras. Well, this is a partial fact. Look, they are of course making money, but indeed the facts are that sales and profits are down over the last few years. Now, before I give you more facts about Olympus, let me turn a corner and let me give you some facts about other camera manufacturers and the rest of our industry. You ready? This is a big one, gang. Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Panasonic, and Sony. They are all currently experiencing a downturn in sales and profits over previous years. Facts. For all of you Panasonic users, the last big announcement that they made to investors is their plan to partner with Toyota, the car company, and begin building towns. Yes, houses and towns. They see this as, and I quote from their investor statement, part of their business portfolio reform aimed at both profit growth and profitability improvement, unquote. Now, that sounds very similar to one of the statements that Olympus recently made. So if we apply the same journalistic integrity to that statement as was applied to the Olympus statements, oh my God, that means that Panasonic is dropping their camera line too, and they're going to migrate their business to home construction. I mean, come on, people. I seriously doubt that's going to happen, right? And by the way,
I don't understand.
Whoops, Siri doesn't get it. By the way, I've posted links to all of the investor documents that I'm talking about and referencing in the description below the video. So you don't have to take my word for any of this, okay? So I'm disappointed in these companies because they were all caught flat-footed. Now, this is my opinion, okay? In my opinion, none of them clearly anticipated the impact of smartphones. Several of them underestimated the evolution to mirrorless. A lot like newspapers, they kind of had their heads in the sand because for years they were competing, but just with each other. That's all the competition they had. Now, there is extremely strong competition from smartphones. But here's where camera companies are much different from those newspaper companies. This is a fact. You all need to understand, regardless of what brand you use, there are no camera companies. All of these companies are sustained by other product lines. All of them. Things like medical equipment, industrial optics, security cameras, home electronics, camera sensor development, entertainment, and yes, even building houses. Now, in most cases, the camera division of the company supports other product lines within the companies by providing research and development and technology that supports their higher earning products. All you Sony folks, yeah. Sony is also, just like the others, indeed selling fewer cameras this year than they were last year. And they're not making more money. But their sensor business is up dramatically. That's a fact. Now, I mean, you should understand that they could drop their cameras tomorrow, which Sony has a history of dropping entire product lines. Yet they would still profit handsomely selling sensors to the other camera brands, which they currently do. But here's a fact. You don't hear the photography news outlets reporting on that precarious situation. My opinion? Possibly that's because they don't want to lose out on the cool trips that Sony provides them a few times a year at no expense. That's also a fact. So now why is this a big deal, right? Why is it a big deal that a YouTuber or a blog does a video or an article and says something like Micro Four Thirds is dead, or worse yet, that an entire camera company is about to go out of business or is up for sale? It's a big deal because it's all an opinion. It's not fact. It's a big deal because it is people reading between the lines and making assumptions or even twisting meanings. It's a big deal because these YouTubers and bloggers who have little to no journalistic training clearly don't understand or care that their words can cost companies millions of dollars. Their misleading words and opinions can put companies out of business. That, my friends, is an abuse of power. That is not what the First Amendment is intended to protect. And here's the bad news. All of you are the victims. All of you. You are victims because you will ultimately pay more for your cameras. Every brand of camera. You're victims because you read these blogs and you follow these YouTubers with the thought that you're learning photography. Sorry, but as you've heard me say many times here and in person if you've met me, you can't learn photography on YouTube. You learn photography with a camera in your hand. You learn photography by taking thousands of really sucky pictures. YouTube is a great resource to help you understand techniques, but these YouTubers in question and the blogs that I've referenced, they are not teaching you how to take great photographs. They are not teaching you the hows and the whys. What they are doing is they're jacking up your anxiety levels over whether or not you've invested your money in the right camera or lens. And if you are feeling anxiety, you should go ahead and read F-Stoppers. They publish more articles about dealing with anxiety than any other photography resource. That's my opinion, but I'll bet it's a fact. Now, I want to point out something else to all of you, and the comments that are running through this video right now are a perfect example of what I'm about to say. Especially for you guys, you need to pay attention to this. Look at these videos and articles that I'm referencing and scroll through the comment threads. This is a fact. Please take note that the overwhelming majority of the comments are made by men, most of whom are over the age of 30. Also a fact. And you know, it's interesting that when we look at up-and-coming talent in the photography world today, it skews heavily towards women. Also a fact. In my opinion, it's apparently because they are the smarter species. And I say good for them. They're not jumping into pointless gear debates. They're putting in their effort with their cameras. Most importantly, they remember why they picked up a camera in the first place, which is something that most of you could use a refresher on. Here's a fact. I'm sorry, but I have yet to meet the photographer who bought their first camera because they dreamed of watching people talk about photography and talk about camera gear on the internet and then spend as much time debating other photographers in a comments thread. So, for a fact, allow me to read the statement from Olympus for those of you that feel that this is an important piece of information for you to feel better about your brands or your decisions, okay? And I'll explain why I say it like that in a minute. So I'm reading verbatim here, if you will. Following the launch of the Olympus Corporate Strategy on November 6th, we saw many rumors about Olympus selling or closing its consumer imaging business. And by the way, I'm sorry, you can read this. If you'd rather not listen to me, you can read it. It is in the description underneath this video. To clarify the Olympus position, Olympus has no plans to sell our consumer imaging business. This line was in bold-faced type in the document. Our corporate strategy does include focusing on medical and drives our ambition for all Olympus businesses to be profitable and contribute to our overall business objectives. That is investor speak for we make most of our money with medical equipment, so obviously that's where we're going to focus most of our resources. What company wouldn't, right? For imaging, this means that we need to stabilize and strengthen our market position. To achieve these goals, we are actively executing global marketing activities with our new break-free campaigns and have a clear and exciting product roadmap for the coming months and years. We're strongly pursuing future technology developments that will enhance photography and video for creators. Furthermore, the imaging division is and will continue to be an important technology and innovation driver for Olympus's other businesses. As you know, still reading from their statement, as you know, we have a unique consumer product portfolio. Our systems are compact, lightweight, and offer market-leading image stabilization and autofocus performance. No other product line offers photographers this level of optimal excellence and mobility. Just recently, we've launched our new OMD EM5 Mark III, and we've previously announced the development of the highly anticipated Emswico Digital ED 150 to 400 millimeter at 4.5 IS Pro lens, which is the handheld super telephoto lens that will be released sometime later next year. That is the end of their statement. Now, I can tell you personally as a fact, not an opinion, the Olympus marketing team has confirmed to me today, after I reached out to them, they have confirmed to me that they have no plans to close their imaging business or consider the sale of the business at this time. They've reinforced that they're actively working on future technology development, and they've already announced the development, as I previously mentioned, of the 150 to 400 millimeter. This and other future products on their publicly released roadmap, which indeed they did release earlier this year, are part of their continued plans to grow Olympus's share of the photography market. Now, those were facts. Here is an opinion for you. If you take the time to read the statements that Olympus made to investors, I'm sorry, but I never understood them to mean that the camera division was going to close or be sold. In fact, I never understood them to mean that there would be layoffs. Saying that there could be layoffs doesn't mean there will be layoffs. There could always be layoffs at any company, in any industry. Hello? Now, maybe this is because I chose to read things as they were stated, instead of doing what a lot of other YouTubers and bloggers did, which was highlighting 3 words in one sentence and then completely ignoring the very next sentence, which contradicted the 3 highlighted words. I ignored it because I understand that, like many other camera manufacturers, the research and development that occurs in the camera division also supports the products in the medical division, where Olympus does indeed earn most of its revenue. Hey, come on, folks. None of you are kids here, right? You've been around the block a few times. We all know that many corporations around the world in many different lines of business maintain lesser earning divisions and subsidiaries to support the higher earning core portion of their business. This is an extremely common business practice. Just like with Sony. Come on, please. Don't think that Sony cameras existed because Sony wanted to enter the camera market. They exist because they make sensors and they realized that they could build their own cameras around them and make even more money. And they built great cameras, guys. Sony's not bad. I'm not making them out to be evil. I'm stating what is really obvious business if you put a little thought into it. And that is why any company exists, gang. They exist to make money. We in photographers in this industry we need to support that fact. By all means, we need to keep them honest. We need to push them to deliver the technology that we need for our work. And we need to push them to develop it at the most reasonable price that they can. Absolutely. But to cause all this drama and anxiety, it's only hurting us. Crap like this could easily cost any company millions of dollars in lost sales, especially when it happens now in the fourth quarter selling season for Christmas. Understand that lower profits for these companies means higher prices for all of us. So please, stop. Just stop it. Remember why you became a photographer? And here's what I'm asking you to do. And this will not be popular. Hold these YouTubers and these blogs, hold them accountable. Let them know that you're not interested in the bullshit. Look, every one of them has something to offer. And I believe in my heart of hearts that they all intend to help and boost the industry. But the fact of the matter is, all the drama gets more views, it gets more reads, makes more money. If you stop supporting this, they will have to change. They will go back to producing content that is useful and helpful to you. But please understand, they are not helping you now. And you are not helping yourself by supporting what they're doing and by furthering their conversation. Now, some of you could argue, so I'm going to do this for you. Well, Joe, aren't you furthering the conversation? I am. At some point, somebody's got to put their foot down. At some point, somebody has got to say enough is enough. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you're much, much smarter than I am. But I'm a person that throughout my life, more than once, have needed a kick in the ass, a reminder to get back on track. We all need that from time to time. These outlets need that. Just like I talk about the fact that I don't want to see any camera company go away. For months, you guys all thought I was going to be excited because Nikon was struggling and maybe they'd go out of business. And I said time and time and time again, I don't want to see that happen. It wasn't to be a nice guy. That was to protect this industry. That's why I feel that way. I don't want to see these YouTubers stop making videos. I don't want to see these blogs go out of business. I want to see them actually provide value, not entertainment. I want to see them prosper by lifting up the community. I want to see them prosper by building the community, not by creating anxiety, not by causing stress. I want to see them use a little bit of restraint and research the facts instead of just reporting what somebody else reported. And then by the time you get 6 articles down the line, it's all gloom and doom and all the facts are lost. I want to see them use a little bit more integrity. And just because a mainstream media outlet reports something poorly, I want to see them take it upon themselves to not go for the quick views and the big drama, but I want to see them take it upon themselves to take the knowledge that they have of this industry, because believe me, they have the knowledge. And I want to see them use that with some common sense. And if they're going to report on it objectively and show the big picture. And if they're going to continue to do what they're doing, I want to see them be equal opportunity offenders. I want to see them properly educate, because their argument, not to put words in their mouth, but their argument will be to say they're doing a service because if the company's going out of business, people aren't going to want to buy the cameras and then get stuck with it. I'll go with that. I'll give them that for a minute. But then why aren't they reporting about the losses of the other companies? Why aren't they reporting about how the other companies are divesting what they do and going in other directions other than photography? Because they feel that's where their future and their future profit is. Why aren't they reporting those things? So some of you, and I've seen the comments go by, Some of you will just write me off because I am an Olympus visionary. I am an ambassador for Olympus. I love their gear. Some of you will understand that I'm really trying to talk about this at a much higher level. I don't care if it was a rumor about Sony or a rumor about Nikon or Canon or anybody else. This stuff is not helping us. This is not what photography is about. It's just not. So, that being said, let's move on to something that's a little bit more cheery, and let's do some Q&A. Why don't we do that, okay? So let me close out a screen here. And I'll be honest, I'm not even going to read so many of these comments that went by because I'm not going to debate anybody on this. I gave you 20 minutes of a combination of facts and opinions that were clearly labeled. Every one of the facts that I stated, you can fact check me. I've provided you with my source material. Every one of the opinions, you can agree or you can disagree. And that's fine. But there's no reason for us to debate. Okay? So I know there were some questions that came in kind of early here. So I'm going to slide back up to the top and then we will slide on down. So hopefully you guys have come up with a few questions. I see a lot of people that had some early opinions. Let's see. And so, there it is. Mitch Morgan. Sorry, I'm in the wrong chat window. So it would help a whole lot for me to be able to show you guys the questions to get to the right chat window. I apologize, gang. Let me just do that really quick here. I want to be able to share it on the screen. Okay. Where are we at here? It's a Godox question. There it is. So for Mitch Morgan, he was looking at investing in some Godox 8200s, and he found a brand called Pika Pro, which claims to sell the same unit but with different branding. Do you know if they are legit? I think it's actually called Pixa Pro, Mitch. I'm not positive, but I believe it's Pixa Pro. In Europe, I know especially in the UK, they do the same thing that Adorama does here in the United States. They private label, that's the business term. They private label the Godox strobes. So when Adorama does it here in the US, they are known as Flashpoint. That's the brand name. And it's still the Flashpoint 8200 or the 8400, et cetera, et cetera. If that K, Mitch, is supposed to be an X Pixa Pro, I'm pretty sure that is the brand name that they use in the UK. And actually, let's see here. Oh, actually, here's a follow-up from The Blast. Hi, Mitch Morgan. Pixa Pro is Godox here in the UK and possibly Europe as well. It is the Godox stuff. It is rebranded. And I can't speak for Pixa Pro, but you should research this, Mitch. One of the benefits of going with the private label versions, so a benefit of buying Adorama in the US, is that Adorama actually puts a warranty behind it. One of the challenges with Godox initially is that they don't have an easy service arrangement if you buy the Godox brand here in the US. Now, there are dealers now in the US that are handling service on it, so it is possible to get service on Godox strobes here. But for a while, it was pretty much impossible to get any service unless you bought the Flashpoint brand. So, yes, as long as you're talking about Pixa Pro, then you are good to go. John, yes, did I see the AD600 for $349? I don't know, and guys, you can help me out. I don't know if that's the Godox. I believe Adorama had their Flashpoint AD600 at $349. I don't know if that was a flash sale or if it's on for a couple of days or exactly what it is. But I would go ahead and I would check with Adorama first, at least, because I know that they did have that price there. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Scrolling on down. DP Cycle 1. Hi, Joe. If ETTR exposed to the right offers better SNR, and it doesn't it undermine some EVF advantages? Honestly, DP Cycle, that's a topic I don't give a damn about. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk or be rude. I've talked about the ETTR, ETTL thing before, exposed to the left, exposed to the right. I don't pay attention to histograms. I don't give a crap about a histogram. You know, if you are photographing things that require exact reproductions, then working with the histogram, monitoring, you know, ETTR, ETTL, all that kind of stuff is of value, right? I photograph people. My photographs, everything that I do is subjective. There is no right or wrong other than what I like and what my subject likes if they're paying me, right? Or my client, that's it. So I just don't pay attention to that stuff. That's the hardcore nitty gritty stuff that, you know, at the end of the day, if it makes any improvement on my imagery at all, it's going to be such a minimal improvement that it's just not worth my time and my effort. Okay. So I get it. For some photographers, they have kind of more of an engineering approach. I'm not trying to be a jerk, being honest. And those details are very important, and I respect that. But that's a conversation that I am not qualified to get into that conversation. I'll put it that way. So, okay. All right, scrolling on down here for some more questions. Let's see, there's all our hellos. Irene just got an Olympus camera. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. And you're going to try some light painting techniques. Oh, come on now, Irene. Is that going to be a challenge? Really? Cool. I will look forward to seeing it. And if I know your work, you're going to put my stuff to shame. So I will be very excited to see it. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Ricardo, where are your old TogChats on YouTube? They're all there, every 178 of them. They're in a playlist. If you go to my channel, scroll down towards the bottom of the page, the first page. If you click on the videos tab at the top, you're not going to find them. All you're going to find are the tutorials. So you want to scroll down to the bottom of the channel page, and you'll see you'll see a playlist that is called TogChat Live, and they're all in that playlist. Okay, so it's still there. Let's see here. I see a couple people talking about the positives. Hopefully you guys understand that I was not trying to make a political statement with what I said, but it relates, because at the end of the day, it is First Amendment, and that's not politics. And that's why I really did try to, you know, keep the politics out of it. I just used it as an example because it's in our face every day. Okay. So anyway, that's the point behind that. So let's see here, so all right, we got a lot of folks putting some stuff in. Cosplay studio here. I'm going to share this because we're shooting. When is the rant over so we can go back to learning about photography? Please maintain that opinion, and please keep me honest. But I just really felt it was something that needed to be discussed. So I respect that, and I hope to honor that that thought process. Okay. Let's see here. Still scrolling on down. A couple people saying they just got Olympus. Good for you guys. And let's see here. Still scrolling on down. D-Cycle 1, my daughter picked up a camera because her dad gave her one. And isn't that actually how a lot of people get started? I mean, literally. For me, it wasn't that my parents gave me one, but my parents had an 8mm movie camera. So it's film 8mm movie camera that I just desperately wanted to try. I was fascinated by it, and they wouldn't let me touch it. And so that kind of became like, oh my God, you know. I had to play with one. So let's see here. And D-Psycho, hate to be cynical. It doesn't really matter what X company closes. Kodak closed, and what did the photography world lose? Well, you know, there's a couple arguments there, D-Cycle 1. I would argue that the photography world lost a lot. And I don't mean that in sentimental reasons at all. Look, I am a firm believer. Film is a 4-letter word. You shouldn't use 4-letter words, right? I'm not a film guy. But the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of people that love film, that appreciate film, that want to shoot with film, okay? And the reality of it is, you know, we don't have as many options available to us. Film is much, much more expensive, and kind of that list goes on, right? So the other fact of the matter is that for many, many, many decades, especially leading into the digital era, film still exists, Psycho, you're right, but not in the way that it did before, not in the supply, not in the variety, and we don't have the same kind of research and development, which is what I was about to say. What you have to understand is that the biggest loss from Kodak was not film. The biggest loss, from Kodak was not, you know, darkroom stuff and all that. The biggest loss from Kodak was the research and development. That was the biggest loss. And that's a loss for, you know, all of it, period. Okay. Still scrolling on down here. Let me see here. And so, D-Psycho, you know, you're one of these really like just skeptical, negative people, man. I'm sorry, but here's the thing. If you just want to debate me, go someplace else, because I want you to understand something else about me. I don't recognize your username. So I really want to be clear here. And you know, I'll give you the same piece of information, same lecture that I've given other people. When I was a child and went to school, there was only one teacher in any of my classrooms. And that teacher had the final say. Now, I could walk out of that classroom and I could believe in and or do what that teacher taught me, or I could make a choice to do something else. So this is my classroom, right? So I'm going to ask you to show a little bit more respect, or I'm just simply going to bounce you out of here, because I'm not here to debate you. You know, let you be the devil's advocate and say that the useful information by anybody on YouTube is now paid for, free to YouTube content is published. That's crap. That's absolute crap. Okay? If you're calling the useful information on YouTube, like the tutorials that I put out, at least 160,000 people seem to feel that those tutorials are useful. Okay? If you're calling them paid content, I make, and I'll gladly show you guys the statement next week, I make about $400 to $500 a month off of YouTube. That's what I make off of YouTube. If you think that's where my income comes from, you're nuts, okay? So it ain't paid for at all. That useful information is stuff that I passionately believe photographers need to understand to help them improve their work, period. That's the useful information that was drilled into me when I was a young photographer. Look, all the YouTubers and the bloggers that I mentioned, I stated it more than once. Go back and listen. I don't want to see them go away. They all have a lot of value to offer. They all have great value to offer. But the fact of the matter is, it is easy to chase the money. There's no win there. That doesn't help the community. Okay? So, you know, again, I really want to try and be more positive about things. So I'm sorry. I appreciate your watching, but I really want to try and be more positive about this stuff. So, all right, scrolling down here some more. Let's see. I know I saw a bunch of questions come flying in, but this is a whole lot of comments. So here it is. Marlon, how did you set your camera at Photo Plus to do the live composite that you did? I did something wrong and mine overexposed the shot very quickly. So Marlon, my guess is, just based on your question, the way it's worded, my guess is that potentially what you did is used live time instead of live comp, C-O-M-P, number one. Number two, at Photo Plus, I was only using 1/2 second exposures. So when you set your camera into the live composite mode, what you want to do then is immediately hit the menu button. And it's not going to go into the menu like it normally would. What it's going to do is it's going to bring up the exposure time setting, so the shutter speed. And you have the option of going anywhere from 1/2 second to 60, I believe 60 seconds. I've never done it that long, so I'm not sure what's on the high end. I think it's 60 seconds. So you have your option to set that exposure. So it's a good possibility that you were either in live time, where it's like bulb, it just keeps accumulating, but you see it develop, or you had an exposure time of, you know, maybe a couple seconds, and that's what was causing it. So I would start there. And then, of course, the other possibility is that you had your aperture set too far open, right? So that also would have, would have potentially caused it, okay? Marlon, I will tell you this. If you continue to have problems, post one of your images with all the settings, one of your bad images with all the settings in my Facebook group, okay? And I'll do my best to help you out, in there. So, okay? All right. Let's see. And, okay. So Jean Edwards, help out here. So it's Pika 200, and that's the 8200 by Pixapro. So there you go. They are the Adorama of the UK. Good. So hopefully we got that, we got that together. Okay. All right. Let me just, let's see here. And all right, heading on down here. So actually, guys, so for those of you that are in Europe, there's a lot of people. John Simpson, they're way in here. It's a Pixapro, excellent company, superb service. So that's actually really good to hear, Mitch. So since that was your question, it sounds to me like Pixapro is the way to go. Okay. Let's see here. T. Neal, since you have lighter gear, do you use the same ball head and tripod? Yeah, I do, but I had switched to kind of a lighter tripod a while ago. So, and I mentioned this in the video that I did about ball heads and tripods. Over the years, I've collected a lot of tripods. I probably have 7 or 8 tripods, and all but like 2 of them are junk. They were cheap. My old standby, like the tripod that will never die, is a tilt-all. If you don't know what a tilt-all tripod is, guys, it's old school, but oh my God, it was amazing, right? The newer tripod that I use, the one that I travel with, is a Benro, and it's carbon fiber, so it's super lightweight, etc. And on that, I do use the Acrotech ball heads. We could argue that they are maybe a little bit of overkill for the kind of work that I do. Absolutely, okay? And full disclosure, the very first Acrotech ball head that I received for free from Acrotech, but I have since purchased from them, okay? They're incredibly well-made tripod heads, ball heads. Incredibly durable, and one of the other great things, I've always liked ball heads, but I refused to use them because they always wore out. They would either get to the point where they would wear down and you couldn't tighten them properly, or worse yet, you would get like grit or dirt into the ball head, and then it would just grind, and it was a mess. The Acrotechs have an open ball, so even if you go out on the beach and you get like sand or something in it, you just go home and wash it out under the faucet and dry it off, you're good to go, right? And the way they're designed, they don't wear down, they lock down forever. So in that sense, they're absolutely worth it. So I've kind of made up for some of the weight of the ball head by using, the carbon fiber tripod. But as I mentioned in the video, it would definitely benefit you to make a well-informed, high-quality tripod purchase the first time, instead of doing what so many photographers do and kind of keep buying cheap tripods and then go slightly more expensive the next one, slightly more expensive after that. And they keep wearing through tripods, right? Before, sadly, it only took me about 4 years to figure out that I should get a really good tripod and a really good ball head. And, now I'm set, okay? So, Marcus, I owe you an apology, Marcus. I am in my home studio. I do not have the lighting case with me. So here's a promise. Be here next week, Marcus. I will have a video clip walkthrough. So please keep in mind, in the video that I did on traveling with camera gear, I show one version of my lighting case. Now I since switched cases, but I'm still carrying basically the same equipment. The only difference is in the new case, I've added a few more things to the case. So if you're in a hurry, go back and check that video because that's basically my kit. But I've added a few things in the new one because now I'm using a Pelican Air. So I promise you, top of the show, next week, I will give you guys a walkthrough and show you exactly what I'm doing with that case. So let's see here. Photo Sven, what do you got a link in your head to what you were talking about? It was hard to hear the name of it. Are you talking about the Acrotech ball heads, Sven? Let me know exactly what you're referring to. Sorry. Let's see here. Hound Fit. Just wanted to check if you've ever used the Godox 8360s or the 180s. I've invested in both and just want your opinion on them. I haven't, but I will tell you that across the board, I think that all the goods, the Godox stuff, sorry, it is great product line. It really depends on your needs. The 8360 is a little bit more powerful, same with the 180s than like your basic speed light kind of thing. But I haven't had a need for them at this point, but by no means I don't think that's bad. Sven, the company name is Acrotech, and I believe it's acrotech.net. I'm gonna type it in here. I don't have a link handy, but maybe one of you guys could check that and see if that's actually it. So that way I can keep chatting here. But it's a California-based company. So, okay. All right. So let's see. Scrolling on down here some more. And let's see here. Matt Byrne, your Flickr page still has only your Nikon shoots. Any chance of you're updating it with your Olympus workplace? Gosh, Matt, I'm not gonna lie, man. I forgot that I even have a Flickr page. I won't promise you that I'll do that really soon, but yeah, I'll see if I can get to that. I mean seriously, I definitely would like to update it. So, Bob Mock, is it too much to ask for you to treat me to lunch during WPPI? Probably, yeah. But, we'll see. Come by, say hi. You never know, right? Stranger things have happened. So, let's see here. Chris Bow, what's your all-time favorite lens? Mine is the Nikkor 105 2.5 AIS 1979. Wow. Chris, look, if I had to say all-time favorite, and no, it's not because of the ambassador stuff. I mean, if I had to say all-time favorite, if you're only going to let me pick one, then I'm probably going to have to say the Zuiko 45mm f1.2 Pro. However, I'm uncomfortable picking one. Throughout my career, at different time periods, depending on what I was shooting, I had lenses that I was truly passionate about. So as a younger photographer back in my newspaper days, my two go-to lenses, they were both primes because back then, yes, I'm this old, zoom lenses sucked. So my go-to lenses were a 24mm 2.8 because we didn't have anything faster then, and a 180mm f2.8, which was the to die for, telephoto lens because it was fast for newspaper photographers. For years, they were my go-to. By the early 2000s in the digital era, when zooms were much, much better quality, and I had migrated to the Nikon D1, the 17 to 35 f2.8 was just, I loved that lens. That lens was on my camera, unless I was shooting, portraits and models, of course, but that lens was on my camera for everything else. I love wide-angle lenses. If I'm not shooting portraits, I love wide-angle lenses because they force me to get really close to fill the frame. By getting really close to fill the frame, the viewer feels like they are right there with you, okay? So, then for Nikon, when it came to the portrait stuff, I would say that, probably my favorite was the Tokina, the 100mm f2.8, the macro lens. And then now Olympus, hands down, the 45mm. That lens is just to die for. So let's see. Terrence Ragland, follow up on the photographer that you mentioned who had the van accident. He thanked everyone who, and he's met his funding goal. We all have to take care of each other. We do, Terrence, and thank you. I know you were one of the people that donated. Mentioning Jaleel King, who I chatted about last week. I think he's up at like $16,000 or $17,000, so he far exceeded his goal. He's definitely going to be able to, look for equipment that's going to be a little bit more suited to his needs and definitely in better condition. So for the very, very little part that I had in the process, I thank all of you that did contribute and help spread the word. Because indeed, we do have to take care of our own. I mean, that's my whole point behind my rant earlier tonight, gang, is, this industry is here for all of us. We are all a part of it. We all benefit from it. And we all need to respect that a little more. We really do. We have a responsibility to respect it because at the end of the day, we all benefit. That's the key. So really do. Okay. All right. So let's see here. And Hound Fit, what would you say is the minimum surface area to work in to do portraits? Sorry for the newbie questions. No, never apologize for newbie questions. That's what we're here for, okay? Trying to figure out how to prevent lighting spill and work with your lights in such a small area to work in. Hey, look, if you watch that video that I just posted from Photo Plus in New York, where I was on the stage for Olympus, so to give you a reference point, the back of that stage, right? So the back wall, if you look at it, you'll see the stage has got like sloped walls, okay? But the back of it is only 9.5 feet wide. So from end to end, 9.5 feet, right? That's much smaller than most living rooms. So Todd Strong, thank you so much for the super chat, man. I really, really appreciate it. And you're headed in the right direction, Houndfit, with your question. What you have to keep working on and what you have to keep practicing and what you have to learn about is how to prevent the spill. The other thing that you need to learn, which is going to help you a lot in this quest, concentrate on learning the inverse square law. Go back to my video or to my channel, search for the video on the inverse square law that I did. That will help you a lot. The solution is not to immediately start putting grids on your modifiers. That is not the best and most efficient solution. There are times where the grids are very helpful and very beneficial and even necessary. The best place to start, though, is learn the inverse square law. You do that, you're going to be able to use the grids much more effectively. You'll have way fewer problems. Begin there, okay? So, Ajax, here's a follow-up on that Flashpoint 8600. They have a rebate, but they're not selling them for $349. I apologize. I could have sworn I saw somebody was doing something at like $349. It was like $200 off. Maybe it's the rebate thing. I apologize. But yeah, I saw something go by on that. So, Luis Costa, I believe people should at least use film once so that they learn to do problem solving instead of depending on gear to do everything. So, Luis, I actually just had a conversation about this recently, and I don't disagree with you, but let me actually take the thought process a step further. For a lot of years in the digital realm, I was of the mentality that if you wanted to be a good photographer, you had to learn film. That all these people that were just starting out in digital weren't learning photography the right way. I used to think that way, so please don't quote me, gang. I used to think that way. Here's what I came to realize over time, Luis, and it kind of actually gets to the core of what you're trying to discuss here. It's not that you need to learn on film. Here's what film did for us. Film created discipline. Film forced discipline. Film, for those of you that have never shot film is what you took pictures with and then waited 7 days to find out how much you sucked, right? That's what film was. With digital and with the amazing advances in technology, we are able to move forward much, much faster. We're able to take higher quality images much quicker. I actually think that's great. I don't see a problem with that. What I see a problem with is the fact that unfortunately people are lazy, right? And so, at the core sentiment, I completely agree with you, Luis. I would debate it only in the sense that I don't think it's so much about having to shoot film. I think it's more about finding the discipline. But I agree to you. Problem solving is absolutely the key. I mean, hands down is absolutely the key. Okay. So let's see here. And let's see here, scrolling down. John Cumber, the UK is currently looking for a new prime minister. Would you throw your hat in the ring for the job? Yeah, no, that's okay. I actually have relatives in the UK, John. I wouldn't do that to them. No. So, and let's see. And Marlon, 60 is the top exposure for the Olympus Live Composite. I did have the aperture set wide open and a 30-second exposure. That's why, Marlon. You probably had way too much ambient light, right? So I was using half-second exposures and I was shooting at f/16 to make sure that I killed all that ambient light. I know it's a long video that I posted from New York, but if you go look at the video, there is a point where I do a test shot at f/16 and a half a second so that you see it's a completely black image without the flash, okay? Houndfit, thank you so much. I appreciate your super chat very, very much. So yeah, Marlon. But the good part of it is that's like in your memory now, right? So the next time you're going to do it, you're going to remember that. It's going to save you making a mistake. Even in the video from New York, when I started the live composite with the audience at the end, I had forgot to set the camera to f16, and so the first test shot that I did was all blown out. So don't feel bad. Happens to all of us, right? We all make that kind of mistake. The good part is I immediately recognized, because I've made that mistake before, I immediately recognized, hey, this is what's going on, right? So, okay. So let's see here. Photographed Dieter. You did it after 43 years as a Nikon shooter. Hey, copycat. You switched to Olympus. Awesome. You got an EM1 Mark II. Happy with this? Well, I appreciate it too. Enjoy it, because it's a great system. It really is. Alan, are you wrong that you want to take all your shots in manual? Hell no, man. I do 99% of my shots in manual. I don't know, maybe 98%. And when I'm not, when I'm in that 2% range, it's auto ISO. That's where the auto is. I don't do any auto aperture, any auto shutter speed at all. Done. It's auto ISO for me if I'm doing that. And usually when that is, Alan, that would be if I'm shooting like a rare football game, or definitely when I'm shooting my grandkids, chasing my grandkids around. Then I'm in auto ISO, totally. Okay. Let's see here. Chris, starting to shoot a lot of sports and supercar, hypercars. I have the EM5 Mark II Pro and Prime lenses. What ISO would you suggest? Chris, it really depends on how bright it is when you're shooting, okay? In terms of, is a bright sunny day? Is it an overcast day? Kind of what are you dealing with there? My rule of thumb for ISO is always start at the base ISO. So for my cameras, and you're an Olympus guy, so it's ISO 200. That's the base ISO. Because remember, folks, your cameras only have one ISO. Right? Your sensor only has one ISO, contrary to what you think it has, and contrary to what your manual says. What I mean by that is the sensor is built with one sensitivity, period. All of the other ISO settings, they are software interpretations, right? That's how it works. Every camera brand is the same, okay? So you're always going to get the absolute best quality at your base ISO. Now, from there, I'm going to look at the situation and say, do I need a higher ISO to be able to shoot at the shutter speed that I want? Because for what you're describing, the sports, the hypercars, etc., shutter speed is going to be key, unless you're doing a panning shot with a blurry background, right? Other than that, shutter speed is going to be key to stop that action. So, you're going to want to be shooting at 1,000th or 2,000th of a second to stop the action, depending on your perspective of where the cars are. That being said, on a cloudy day, you're probably not going to get away with ISO 200. Adam, thank you so much, man. Adam's favorite lens is the 12-40 2.8, which I have and love that lens. It's a great carry-around lens. So Chris, yeah, for me, I would start with your base and then take your ISO up to the point where you need. So remember the exposure triangle, right? Set your aperture based on how much depth of field you want. Set your shutter speed based on stopping the action, and then complete the triangle by setting your ISO where it needs to be to get you a proper exposure. Okay. All right. So let's see here. We got a couple more questions. So let me get a couple more in. I'll go over by a few minutes, right? Because I know I took a lot of time and was on a soapbox tonight, which some of you didn't like. So let me answer a couple more questions here. Okay. Let's see. Age-old question, but I'm stuck. How do you get to work with models? I shot my friends already. I don't have the balls to approach people on the street, and I'm too bad to show my photos on Instagram. Honestly, show your pictures on Instagram and get over it. What determines that you're bad? If you're determining that you're bad, then get on your box. I'm reading the comment soapbox. Then pick up your camera and go practice and work on it, improve, okay? If other people are telling you bad, well, they kind of don't matter unless that other person's your subject. And even then, you go back and you practice, right? You can practice with a mannequin, because if you're bad, the stuff that you're probably most bad at, like most people, is things like lighting and that kind of stuff, right? So, start with a mannequin and go from there. But your best bet to finding models is honestly to go to Instagram It's to go to websites like Model Mayhem in the US or Purple Port in the UK and Europe, those types of things. You know, that's the best way to do it. Comment here from Jay says, I joined groups and attended studio events. Once you meet a few people, it becomes easier. And indeed, it does. And it's a good way to start. Now, you guys have all heard me talk about how I feel about group shooting events. When you're just getting started, when you're like at the very beginning, like one in Zane is at, these opportunities are excellent. But indeed, once you start to gain some momentum with your work and you gain a little confidence and you feel like you're putting out better work, that's when the group shoots become detrimental because you don't have control. Everybody's shooting the same thing, yada, yada, yada. So they're not really helping you at that point. So JG, thank you for actually reminding me about that because it is an actually excellent piece of advice for somebody in his shoes. Okay. All right. So Adam, for an amateur like myself that's already somewhat invested in Yamaha flashes, is there any reason to switch to Godox? So well done, Lorraine. Okay. So, no, I mean, Adam, it's the same with cameras, right? If you are able to get the job done with the gear that you have, then why would you say this? Richard, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it, sincerely. If you are getting the job done with the gear that you have and it's working for you satisfactorily, then no, there's no reason to switch at all, ever. Same with the camera. So, that's also part of, the irony with all this camera uproar. How often do you buy a new camera? If you're somebody that's buying a new camera like every year or every other year, then you're a geartographer. And I don't mean that to say mean things. I just mean you're a person whose interest is more about the gear than the actual photography, right? Most people buy new cameras every 4, 5 to 6, 7 years because that's how often you actually need them. So yeah, if the Anglenos are working for you, stick with them. Nothing wrong with that, okay? VGM Lucifer might be a stretch, but are $700 to $1,000 tripods worth it? Things like the high-end Gitzo or Peak Design. Well, I mean, carbon fiber is definitely worth it, and it tends to be more expensive. That being said, part of my answer, VGM Lucifer, is it depends on the camera that you're putting on it. Like if you're using a mirrorless camera today, there's probably not a $700, $1,000 tripod that's actually going to benefit you unless it's got some interesting features to it, or maybe like you're shooting with really, really heavy duty telephoto lenses and you need a really fancy gimbal on top, that type of thing maybe. But as far as like the sticks, the legs, $700 to $1,000 worth of tripod that's a lot of tripods. So my gut response when I read your question was like, $700 or $1,000, it better take award-winning photos for me. Like that was kind of my first response. But honestly, I mean, to be clear, my tripod combination is about $500, almost $600 with the Acrotech ball head and that. So again, it's a matter of doesn't meet your needs, right? Okay. All right, let's see here. Just got a couple more. Chris Roble, what studio am I filming in tonight? This is actually Studio 1. So this is the home studio. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about it next week when I've got a couple new features that are coming to TogChat, as you might have kind of already got a hint of. But as you know, I did set up for TogChat at the new studio. And bottom line, 2 things were happening. One, I had to give up some actual working space to be able to do the video in the studio. So that was kind of annoying that I had this nice big new studio, but I was giving up part of the space, good usable space. 2, that studio is 20 minutes away. And it's 20 minutes away because the rent is like dirt cheap. So that's why I went there, right? So I was driving, 20 minutes to do an hour or 90-minute, presentation, and then driving back. And it was really cutting into my prep time because I want to be able to do more prep. I've got some really cool things coming up for TogChat and for the channel in general over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. So anyway, so that's why I decided to go ahead and set it here in Studio 1 because I don't use my basement studio for shooting anymore. I do use my main studio. So basically, video studio here. What is behind me back here is actually a green screen. See if I can turn it off there real quick. Is it going to let me turn it off? Oh, wait, it's locked here. So that's actually a green screen, okay? That green screen is for a camera that's sitting right here, which I'll share it with you guys next week. That allows me to record the stand-up portions of my YouTube videos, etc. So So that's a little bit of what's going on there. Robert, thank you so much, man. These are Dickies shirts. Yeah, Dickies, like work shirts. That's what they are, but I got them custom embroidered. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. Custom embroidered with my logo and that. So I actually found a company locally here that did them. But thank you for the super chat, Robert. I appreciate it, man. Big time. So let's see here. Scrolling on down. Let's just get a couple more. And let's see here. I know I saw a few more come in, but they're down here at the bottom. And Burl Thomas, if I try to control my Olympus from the phone, I've done it like once or twice using the iOS Share app. It works great. I just don't have that many situations where I kind of need to do that. But yeah, it's very doable. I will say that the iOS Share app, at least considering my only other experiences were with the Nikon, app that they had, which was a train wreck, which I understand it's gotten better. So let's be clear, I have not, tried the newest version of it, but yeah, these are the Olympus app is actually really awesome. So, okay. All right, let's see here. Adam, when you were making your other videos, which I'm still making them, they're coming back. Yeah, I do all my own editing, all it, and it's a lot of work. Some people would say that I'm actually pretty stupid for doing my own editing, but I do. So, and let's see here. All right, let's get one more. We're over time here, but I want to start to wrap up. Well, okay, so this is a little bit self-serving, but I'm going to jump in here. So thank you. From Lynn, can you remind everybody about Zoom chats on Friday evenings and how they can sign up? For those of you that don't know, in fact, here, let me scroll back. This link right here, tog.chat/mentor. This is an actually really cool program that I've been participating in. It comes from a company called Reachable, and you use an app on your phone that is called the Reachable app. And it's a messaging app, like text messages, right? So you sign up for a level of sorts, okay? There are 4 levels that you can sign up for starting as little as $5 per month. You can cancel this anytime. What the $5 per month gives you access to is a lot of discounts, some exclusive content for me, etc. But 2 really important things. 1, 5 messages, direct messages, directly to me, 4 questions that I will answer directly back to you each month. 5 questions per month. Comes right to me like a text message. I answer right back to you. You can send me pictures to review. You can ask me to help you troubleshoot problems. And then also you get attendance at our Friday Zoom chats. You download the Zoom app for your laptop or your computer. You need a little webcam, which most computers today have them built in. And we are able to, via video as a group, chat, solve problems, review pictures, help people with marketing ideas, etc. So it's a great way to have a mentor essentially in your pocket. You could be out on location. I've helped people solve problems while they're in the middle of a shoot and sent me an SOS message like, I'm having a problem with this. I can't figure it out. Help me out. All that kind of stuff. So it's worth looking into. It is very, very inexpensive, and it is something that you can cancel at any time. So if you feel that it's not worth your while, or you're no longer in need of it, you just drop it. There's no obligation. So Lynn, thank you for mentioning that. All right, gang. And then the last question here, I'm going to throw one last one in just to be clear, since there's apparently some confusion. Whoops, where it is? It's all the way down here. From Life is Beautiful. Is TogChat no longer 90 minutes? That is correct. It's 60 minutes. It's going to be 60 minutes going forward. The biggest reason is because I'd really be a hypocrite, even though I'm trying to really help you guys focus on the important stuff with photography. I don't want you spending 90 minutes a week on YouTube watching videos. I just don't. December 1st, tutorials will be coming back to my channel. You'll notice right away they're all much shorter than they used to be. Much shorter, okay? I want them to be there as a reference for you. I do not want them to be entertainment. So that being said, gang, thank you so much for indulging me with, as everybody's calling it, my rant tonight. But seriously, I really hope that you'll all consider what I had to say. I want to see this community thrive. I want to see all of you thrive as photographers. I sincerely do. Those of you that have met me and have followed me and know me, you know that that is my passion. That is my goal. So, as always, gang, go pick up that camera. Have a little fun. Jose, thank you for the super chat. Have a little bit of failure because we need that too. But whatever you do, please, gang, remember these.
Thanks for watching another live episode of TogChat. Now, pick up that camera and shoot something because your best shot is your next shot. So keep learning, keep thinking, and keep shooting. Adios.